For a long time, Kurt has been trying really hard to become famous on the internet. He does all kinds of stuff on his YouTube channel called Cuts World 96. He makes videos where he talks about his life, plays video games, reviews shoes, and even shares his favorite keyboard shortcuts. He also shows off his dad Chris, who used to be married to Kurt's mom but they got divorced a while ago. Kurt's mom was really upset about it, so Kurt decided to be a good son and live with her while making money by babysitting. But no matter how much he tries, Kurt hasn't been able to get many people to watch his videos. His views and subscribers are really low, not even reaching double digits. It's different for this kid named Bobby though. Kurt used to babysit him, and now Bobby is a famous influencer with his own YouTube channel called Bobby Basecamp. Kurt thinks they're friends, but Bobby doesn't really seem to care about Kurt and doesn't let him be part of his videos. Kurt feels left out and sad. After 10 years of trying and failing, Kurt gets really frustrated and decides to give his channel one last chance. He comes up with something called The Lesson, where he wants to teach people how to become popular online. He starts by setting up a bunch of cameras in his car and fills it with water bottles. He says that the first step of the lesson is to document everything you do because if you're not recording yourself, it's like you don't exist. Kurt starts working as a driver for a rideshare app called Spree, using his car with all the cameras. His first passenger is a man who doesn't want to wear his seatbelt and seems suspicious of the cameras. But Kurt tells him that they're there for protection. This guy also starts talking about white supremacy, which means he believes that one race is better than others. Kurt worries that this guy's racist beliefs could harm his small audience, which is basically just Bobby. To make things worse, Kurt starts driving recklessly to scare the guy and make him uncomfortable. The guy complains, but Kurt just tells him to drink the free water bottles he provided. Little does the guy know, Kurt has actually poisoned the water. He even made a video tutorial on how to poison water without getting caught. Then Kurt turns up the music and zooms past a stop sign while the man in the back seat coughs and eventually dies. Kurt's friend Bobby thinks it's all just for show to get more views, but Kurt doesn't mind because it's part of his plan. He wants to do these things without anyone suspecting they're real, so he can get lots of attention later on. Kurt's next passenger is a snobby real estate agent who leaves her sign in the trunk. They chat for a bit, and then she decides to grab a water bottle. But little does she know, she's about to become Kurt's second victim. Kurt goes to the back seat and shows the body on camera, even making a joke about drinking the water. Just then, Kurt's friend Chris calls and asks for a ride, but Kurt ignores him and hangs up. After that, Kurt covers his tracks. He unlocks the woman's phone using her face and gives himself a great rating on the Ride app. He even sends a rude text message so that the woman won't be expected at a work meeting. Once he gets rid of the body, Kurt picks up his next passenger, a rude and muscular guy named Mario. Kurt tries to play his own music, but Mario complains and refuses to drink the free water. Kurt then takes a detour to pick up another passenger, ignoring Mario's complaints because it was Mario who chose the pool option. This new passenger is a famous influencer and comedian named Jessie. But as soon as she hears Mario hitting on her, she cancels the ride and walks away. Mario pushes Kurt to follow her, and Kurt offers to drive her for free just to get her in the car. While driving, Kurt learns that Jessie has a huge following on social media. He asks her how she did it, and she simply says she's funny. Kurt keeps asking for help, but Mario keeps making inappropriate comments. Fed up with these two creepy guys, Jessie records everything for her social media before leaving the car. Now, Kurt is really upset because he missed out on a chance to become friends with a super successful influencer. So, he suddenly decides to take Mario to a faraway construction site instead. Kurt starts driving really fast, and poor Mario starts feeling sick from all the speed. Kurt doesn't want Mario to throw up in his car, so he makes him get out. Mario complains, but he really needs to go to the bathroom, so he reluctantly leaves. Right at that moment, Kurt blasts his own song at full volume and speeds up, crashing his car into Mario. Mario's body goes flying and lands on the front window, making a really bloody scene for the camera. After getting rid of Mario's body and cleaning up the car, Kurt starts stalking Jessie on social media. He sees that she has a stand-up show that night and thinks it's a sign. He believes that he and Jessie are both going to have big things happen on the same night. But the truth is, Kurt isn't really popular yet. He only has a few viewers, and his only supporter is Bobby, who still thinks the murders are fake. Bobby is actually a fake creator himself. He always plays mean pranks on homeless people, and the one time he pretended to help them, it was all just for his camera. This is nothing like Jessie, who people love because she's genuine and relatable. A little while later, Kurt stops at a gas station. He takes down a realtor sign and fills up his tank while arguing with Bobby. Bobby tells Kurt that he's boring and needs to make his live stream more exciting. Once Kurt has cleaned up all the blood from his car, he tries to make things more exciting like Bobby suggested. He starts driving recklessly for his next passengers, who are a group of fancy socialites named Richard, Kendra, and London. At first, Richard and Kendra are really scared by Kurt's crazy driving, but London is actually excited. She thinks it's like being on an adventure and even jumps to the front seat to chat with Kurt. Eventually Kurt goes off route again, but this time they end up at a junkyard, and Kurt tells Richard and Kendra to stick their heads out of the sunroof because there's a great view for taking cool pictures. Richard and Kendra think it's fun at first, but then Kurt starts driving really fast and closes the sunroof, trapping them inside. It gets even scarier when some wild dogs from the junkyard jump on Richard and Kendra. Meanwhile, Kurt grabs a power drill from his car and uses it to hurt London. Later on, Kurt goes to a car wash and calls his friend Bobby to get his opinion on what happened. But Bobby didn't see Kurt's bad actions because he wasn't interested in watching. Kurt gets mad and asks Bobby why he hasn't given him a shout-out like he promised. Bobby tells Kurt that he should be more like their friend Jessie because she seems more real and genuine. This makes Kurt jealous, so he starts nitpicking and leaving mean comments on Jessie's social media posts. While Kurt is driving to a house in the suburbs, Jessie posts a video exposing Kurt and another person named Mario. Then she goes to visit her grandma and records it for her social media. Suddenly, someone rings the doorbell and Jessie gets worried because she wasn't expecting anyone. But it turns out to be another comedian named Mike who wants to talk about work stuff. Meanwhile, Kurt is actually visiting Bobby, but Bobby tells him to go away because they're not friends or collaborators. And he says all of this in front of his fans on his live stream. Bobby insults Kurt and his fans start going to Kurt's stream to see the other side of the argument. Then, out of nowhere, Kurt stabs Bobby with a knife while he's still streaming. It's a really shocking and scary moment. Bobby tries to protect himself with a gun, but Kurt is stronger and ends up killing him. However, the people watching think it's all fake. Kurt takes over Bobby's live stream and even records himself showering to get rid of any evidence. Suddenly, Kurt's dad texts him, asking for a ride to a gig. At first, Kurt doesn't want to help because he wants to go to Jessie's show. But when his dad mentions meeting a famous DJ, Kurt changes his mind. Kurt picks up his dad, but their relationship is awkward and they start arguing. Chris, Kurt's dad, is shocked to find Bobby's gun in the car and scolds Kurt for it. This leads to another fight, and they have to hide the gun when they see the police nearby. Finally, they arrive at the club and meet the famous DJ, Uno. They ask her to give Kurt's channel a shout-out, but she initially refuses. However, she eventually agrees if Kurt drives her to a taco truck. They find a taco truck, but Uno starts snooping around the car and finds the gun. She uses it as a prop for selfies and accidentally drinks one of Kurt's special drinks, which makes her pass out. When Kurt returns to the car with the food, the cops notice Uno and ask Kurt to perform a sobriety test. Kurt pretends Uno is his girlfriend who fell asleep to avoid getting into trouble. Suddenly, Uno wakes up because she didn't drink enough to fully die. She sees the cops and starts to panic. In her panic, she shoots one of the cops and runs away. One of the cops chases after her. Meanwhile, Kurt takes this opportunity to escape in his car, but he's also being followed. Surprisingly, all of this chaos is making his live stream viewers skyrocket into the thousands. Desperate to shake off the cops, Kurt starts driving recklessly and ends up crashing into a homeless camp, sadly killing a few people on purpose before his car flips over. On the other hand, Jessie is given a ride to her show by a guy named Mike. He keeps bothering her and bragging about his connections. He even tries to do a little opening act before her, but he doesn't make anyone in the audience laugh. However, as soon as Jessie takes the stage, the crowd goes wild. Little does she know, Kurt is hiding in a corner with his gun. After telling a few of her usual jokes, Jessie starts talking about her experience with Mario and Kurt during the spree. She mentions how Kurt's obsession with social media followers made her reflect on herself. She realizes that true happiness can't be found in having a lot of subscribers or views. Instead, she believes that people only judge and hate you for their own entertainment. To make a powerful statement, she smashes her phone on stage, symbolizing her decision to break free from the grip of social media. The mic drop leaves everyone in shock. Moved by Jessie's speech, Kurt decides to leave without causing any more trouble. However, he soon discovers that the spree service has been temporarily suspended because of his murderous rampage. In need of a ride, Kurt uses another app called GoGo and gets into the car of a friendly man named David. But things take a dark turn when David makes a joke about not being the crazy driver who has been killing people all night. Kurt takes this personally and, without hesitation, kills David within seconds. Back at the bar, Jessie is fed up with Mike's constant recording, even after she has decided to distance herself from social media. She decides to ditch him by calling for a go-go ride. David's car pulls up, but guess who's driving? It's Kurt. And he's got something to tell Jessie. Turns out, he's the same guy she made fun of during her comedy show. He saw her perform and knows she can't use her phone for help because she broke it. Kurt thinks he's got Jessie trapped, so he plans to take her to his house to spread love instead of hate. But Jessie isn't going down without a fight. She grabs a phone charger cord and starts joking Kurt. The car crashes into a trash container, and Kurt stops the car. He gets angry and punches Jessie, knocking her out. When Jessie wakes up, she finds herself on Kurt's front lawn. He drags her into the headlights and asks his audience what he should do with her. Shockingly, they choose for him to kill her. Kurt gets ready to run her over while his viewers go crazy in the chat. But then, he makes a silly mistake. He stops to fix a fallen camera and loses sight of Jessie. While he's distracted, Jessie takes the opportunity to get in the car and take control of the wheel. She runs Kurt down, but things go wrong and the car crashes into his house. Kurt manages to dodge it and tries to kill Jessie by pushing her face against the airbag. But Jessie fights back and pushes him away. Kurt runs into another room, and Jessie desperately asks for help on the live stream, trying to convince everyone that this is real. Just then, Chris arrives and is shocked to see the destroyed house and Kurt's mother dead on the floor. It turns out, she was Kurt's first victim, and he killed her before going on his rampage. Suddenly, Kurt appears and grabs Bobby's gun from his car. He uses it to shoot his dad multiple times, killing him quickly. Meanwhile, Jessie tries to escape in the car, but when going backward doesn't work, she just drives forward and crushes Kurt against the wall. The chat tells her to check on the body, and Jessie does so to find out Kurt isn't dead yet. She's forced to finish the job by smashing his head with his phone while remembering a few minutes earlier when Kurt felt really cool because he had 50,000 people watching him. Then the chat asks for a selfie with the body, and Jessie takes one. The next few days, Kurt's story becomes really popular news. Jessie becomes even more famous as a multimedia queen, and although reporters don't like Kurt, some people on the internet, like 4chan and Reddit, see him as a hero. As these websites fill with love for Kurt, one user reveals they're making a movie about him.